Live from the Built Ford Tough studio at FedEx Forum, it's the Gary Parrish Show, presented by Ortho South, on YouTube at Grind City Media and the official Grind City Media app. Now, here's your host, Gary Parrish.
All right, I'm here. My name is Gary Parrish. I'm speaking to you from Built Ford Tough Studio, FedEx Forum, downtown Memphis. Bennett Doyle right there producing the program. Glad he's with me. Glad you're with me. Hope you're getting through the day best you can. And I hope you like winning streaks and Ja Morant, because the Grizz currently have one of those things, and they might be getting the other back as soon as tonight. Fun times in Memphis, I think. We'll talk about it momentarily. First, quickly, though, let me set today's schedule for you. The next segment, about 20 minutes, Michael Eaves is going to join me. He, of course, is a studio host for ESPN. I don't know if you saw, he was out in Las Vegas this weekend for the big F1 race. I'll ask him about that. What's it like to be in Vegas for F1? Michael Eaves is going to be here in the next segment. When I finish talking to Michael, we'll turn our attention to Tiger basketball. Big game today against the back-to-back champs, Dan Hurley's UConn Huskies. I'll get you ready for that. We're going to do it in about 40 minutes. When we finish talking Tiger basketball, that's when we'll take a break, come back, do 5 more things you need to know, at which point we're going to discuss 5 previously undiscussed stories. Among them, Ole Miss lost this weekend down at Florida. So that's 3 losses for Lane Kiffin's Rebels. They are now out of the college football playoff projections that'll officially update tomorrow night. We'll talk Ole Miss football. We'll do that in about an hour or so. Jake Paul's promotional company has released a statement denying that his fight with Mike Tyson was rigged. I'll tell you what it said. We'll do that in just a bit. Kendrick Lamar's latest album, GNX, dropped Friday. It has been #1 in the world all weekend. It'll likely stay there for a while. Variety has called it a meticulous, versatile, hard-hitting masterpiece. And the first voice you hear on the album belongs to a 49-year-old obscure Mexican singer. There's an interesting story behind that, how all this happened. I'll share it with you. We'll do that in the 4th segment. More details have emerged in the death of Liam Payne. It's no longer looking like it was a suicide, just an absolute mess. I'll tell you the latest. We'll do that in the 2nd hour. And for the first time in cinema history, all of the top 10 highest grossing films of the year are likely to be sequels in 2024. I'll ask Bennett to explain that to us. We'll do that during a segment we call 5 More Things You Need to Know. Then we'll eventually do GP's Carryout, and then we'll call it a day. So that's the rundown. We got a lot to get to. But I did want to start with your Memphis Grizzlies, because Game 17 of a scheduled 82, it was played Saturday night inside the United Center in Chicago, and it went well for the visitors. Final score, Grizz 142, Bulls 131, in the same building where his father built a Hall of Fame career while winning 6 championships with Michael Jordan and the Bulls. Scotty Pippen Jr. finished with a career-high 30 points, 10 assists, while starting in place of the injured, at the time at least, Ja Morant. Pippen took 16 shots. He made 13 of them, 3 of 6 from 3, 10 of 10 from 2, 1 of 1 from the free throw line. Jaylen Wells added 26 points. He was 10 of 14 from the field, including 6 of 10 from 3. So keep up. A dude who started training camp on a 2-way contract and a rookie second-round pick combined for 56 points and a road win over the Bulls, while Ja Morant, Marcus Smart, Zach Edey, Gigi Jackson, and Vince Williams remain sidelined with various injuries and or illnesses. Big Bet Bennett. Fun night, Saturday night at the United Center. Here's my question for you.
Okay.
Is Jaylen Wells Wally Pippen people as we speak? Are we witnessing a Wally Pip situation?
I'm not sure what that means.
You don't know what you don't know the
What's
Wally.
Wally Pippen?
Oh, Bennett. You don't know about Wally Pip?
No, I don't.
Oh, it's a history lesson for you then.
I am a history major. I like history.
Well, you say that all the time.
I know.
You always are talking about how you are a history major.
Well, not sports history.
And then I bring up something historical, and you're like, I don't know what you're talking about. I don't even know what you're saying.
I didn't focus on sports history, GP.
I understand. Buddy, when we ever get into a segment about Peru, I know
you know who to call.
You're going to knock that one out of the park.
Yes, sir.
I know that. So Wally Pipp. I'm so glad you don't know this story. Let me tell you why.
I mean, I've heard that.
Well, let's you and I'm sure you're not the only person listening right now who's never heard of the Wally Pipp story.
Okay,
so let's learn it together.
Let's hear it.
Okay, so Wally Pipp, he was the first baseman for the New York Yankees in 1925. All right, and he missed a game on June 2nd, 1925. He had an injury, specifically a headache.
Okay.
He had a little headache.
Don't we all?
His head was hurting a little bit. I have a friend who swears he's never had a headache. Do you believe that?
That's BS. That's the stupidest thing I've ever heard.
It doesn't make sense, does it?
What are you talking about?
He insists on this.
That he's never had a headache?
He says, I've never had a headache. I know they're serious, and I know people have them, and I know, I understand they're serious deals, but I personally have never had one. Does that make any sense to you?
No, not one bit. That's
I know, but he stands by that.
Okay.
Like he never moves off of that. You can't ever trick him into admitting that he had a headache once.
Okay.
He insists he's never had a headache. So Wally Pipp had him a little headache. All right. And he says, I don't think I could play today. I got me a little headache.
Okay.
So he missed the game. It was June 2nd, 1925. And you'll never guess who they decided to start in his place.
Who?
Lou Gehrig.
Oh, I know him.
Lou Gehrig started in his place, and then you ready for this? Started at first base for the Yankees the next
For a million years.
2,130 games, which
Yeah.
stood as a record for 56 years up until Cal Ripken broke it.
Oh, shout out Cal.
Shout out to Cal Ripken. He broke it back in September of 1995. Ripken, by the way, went on to play 2,632 consecutive games, which is still the record. It might stand forever. But can you imagine a Grizzly ever playing 2,632 consecutive?
Absolutely not.
Can you imagine a Grizzly playing 26 straight games?
Absolutely not. No,
but man, I got dreams. So the Wally Pipp story is you for whatever reason couldn't do your job one day. So they found somebody else to do your job that way.
Yeah,
and then
I
that
gotcha.
dude just kept your job.
Oh, so we're saying Scotty Pippen's going to take Ja Morant's job?
No,
Okay.
we're talking specifically about Jaylen Wells. I hope I made that clear.
Okay, gotcha. Oh, yeah. Okay. I'm following now.
Because
I was getting scared for a second.
No,
I was like, hold on. What are we about to do here?
You're taking this somewhere I ain't ready to take it.
Okay, all right.
I was as happy as I could be for Scotty Pippen Jr. on Saturday night. In all seriousness, to have that kind of moment in this arena where your father is a star.
That is crazy. I mean, and like you said, like he's on a two-way contract this summer.
To start it.
Like he's probably not a guy that
It's supposed to happen.
It's not supposed to happen.
It's not. You're not
Like it would be cool. Like I bet before this season started, he was like, "Man, I hope I get to play in that game back in Chicago."
When you start training camp on a two-way, you don't think to be starting at point guard for a competent Western Conference team in the United Center on a Saturday night in November.
Right.
Like that's not the way it's supposed to go. But because he's been so good, because Ja is banged up, he gets that opportunity on Saturday night, which just, if it was nothing more than that, being introduced as a starter in the United Center, if it got no better than that, that's pretty good.
Yeah, that's good.
If it got no better than that, that's a moment. That's a moment where you can look around and be like, man, I was a kid coming in this place, watching my dad. Now look at me.
Yeah.
If it doesn't get any better than that, it's pretty unbelievable. But then he goes out and he gets 30 and 10. That was an amazing night for him and for his family. Mom, dad, everybody, I'm certain. Right? I couldn't have been happier for him. I hope he's coming off the bench tonight.
Yes.
Right?
Oh, yeah.
I hope he's coming off of the bench tonight. I'm talking specifically about Jaylen Wells because I think this situation is a little more interesting. The Wally Pipp story again. This is your job, buddy, but you can't do your job today, so we're going to find somebody else. We wasn't looking for somebody else to do your job.
Right.
We just needed somebody else to do your job. So we're going to give somebody else an opportunity to do your job, and we'll see what happens. The Wally Pipp story never got your job back. Back to Jaylen Wells.
Yes.
We started training camp. Let's go back there. You know who Jaylen Wells was?
A second-round pick.
A second-round pick, rookie who I promise you 95% of Grizzlies fans had never heard of before he was selected by the Grizzlies the night of the draft.
Yeah, it was intriguing. It was just like, hey, maybe we got a good three-point shooter here.
It was just like, well, that's interesting.
Yeah.
That's what it was. It
That's
was like,
right.
okay, well, you're 6'8" and can shoot. That's interesting. That's what it was. All right? Just like Scotty Pippen ain't ever supposed to be starting in the United Center on a Saturday night in November, Neither is Jaylen Wells. But he did. And the reason he has been starting and appeared in all 17 games is because Gigi Jackson started this season sidelined after foot surgery and still is. Vince Williams started the season sidelined by a tibia injury. Came back for 3 games and then injured his ankle and is now expected to miss 4+ weeks. Marcus Smart was healthy to start the season, but has only appeared in 7 of the Grizzlies' 17 games. First because of an ankle sprain, more recently because of an undisclosed illness that sidelined him for each of the past 5 games. All 3 of those guys, Gigi, Vince, Marcus, were reasonably ahead of Jaylen Wells on the wing in the preseason, during training camp, if you were to put a depth chart together. And they might all go back to that place when they're all healthy. As always, we'll see, right? But right now, Jaylen Wells is averaging 12.5 points, 3.1 rebounds, 1.8 assists in 26.2 minutes per game. He's appeared in all 17 games. He's second in the team in minutes played at 445. He's shooting 40.2% from 3 on 4.8 attempts per game. So what we have here is a 21-year-old, 6'8" rookie who has already started 12 times, shown the ability to guard his position, move the ball, and reliably make jumpers from the perimeter. So what happens when Gigi, Vince, Marcus get healthy? This might be one of those deals where they're never all healthy at the same time.
Right.
But if they all are, I'm not sure. Keep in mind, you probably come into this season thinking Jaylen Wells is not a part of your rotation. That's how you enter the season. Everybody healthy, Jaylen Wells is not a part of our rotation. But he started 12 times already, and he's playing well. I'm not sure. Even when everybody's healthy, you could just tie Jaylen Wells back to the bench you thought he was going to be tied to this season. He's playing too well. And he might be pushing somebody who thought they would be in the rotation straight out of the rotation, which brings me back to the Wally Pipp story. If Jaylen Wells, if we can all agree he looks the part and is playing well, well, there's only so many minutes in a basketball game. And if he's going to get 26 of them or 22 of them or whatever, those are minutes that somebody else, probably on the wing, thought they were going to get, that they ain't just going to be able to get anymore.
You're right. I mean, it's obviously a great problem to have. Like, I would assume the majority of the teams in this league would kill to have that problem, right?
Yes.
Too many good players.
Yeah.
I'm with you. Like, I don't think there's any way you could just, like, put him on the when everybody's back and healthy, put him on the bench and have him out of the rotation.
Let's just say
He's just been too good.
We look up, it's January 15th, and all of these players we're discussing right now are healthy.
Yep.
Jaylen Wells just out of the rotation? I don't see that.
Well, and the thing is, and you said it, and it's true, is he can hold his own defensively at his position, because typically that's just not the case for rookies, especially second-round picks. Like, they get overwhelmed by the athleticism and how fast the game is in the NBA. Like, you adjust. There's an adjustment period, and he's been able to handle that. And that's
he looks
why
comfortable.
Exactly.
That's the thing. More than anything.
He looks comfortable, yes.
More than anything. Like, he's 6'8". That's he can shoot. He looks comfortable.
Yes.
When they drafted him, he was 6'8". When they drafted him, he could shoot. You just don't know what it's going to look like.
Right.
He looks comfortable.
Agreed.
Now, it might flip around on him. This sometimes happens in sports. Guess who else looked comfortable a few weeks ago? Jaden Daniels.
That's fair.
All right?
Yeah.
You know, things can flip around on you a little bit.
I mean, he threw another Hail Mary last night.
Ups and downs
yesterday.
Ups and downs in most rookie seasons.
Yeah.
But he looks the part.
Yeah.
It is interesting. We've spent all of this time and all of these resources trying to find a wing with size who can shoot and guard his position.
Right.
And they might have found him with the 39th pick in the 2024 NBA draft. Like you said, good problem to have.
Yep.
Back to Friday, before the game in Chicago, there was 5-game stretch we'd focused on, 1 on the road, the next 4 at home. And we said we wanted to go 4-1 through the 5-game stretch featuring 4 home games. So far, so good. The Grizz are 1-0 in this stretch. And now there's 4 winnable home games on tap. They're now 10-7 on the season. They've won 3 of their past 4 games. And according to Massey ratings, should be favored in each of their next 4. Like, they're obviously favored tonight, 9.5 points against Portland. But if you project out the week, Massey ratings has them as 7-point favorites against Detroit, 7-point favorites against New Orleans, 4-point favorites against Indiana. So all 4 of these games that are going to be played here inside FedEx Forum, they're all winnable. I think I'm done with, let's just go 4-1 through this 5-game stretch. I think I'm with news that Ja Morant's return is on tap. Mm-hmm. Possibly, not definitely, but possibly as soon as tonight. I'm done with 4-1. Let's go 5-0.
Yeah, I think so too. I'm with you there. Because how many times, again, want everything to go smoothly this season. We've seen how the injury report has played out over the past couple of years. How many times are you going to have an opportunity to, like you said, get Ja back, have Ja, Jaren, and Dez all playing at the same time, and you get 4 winnable home games where you're going to be favored heavily in a row. You got to take advantage of these moments in the season if you want to be a top 6 seed in the West.
Bennett, we're speaking the same language.
Yep.
We're sitting here today on a Monday, and we're speaking the same language. I'm no longer satisfied with 4-1. We deserve it all.
Let's do it.
I'm saying 5-0. 2-game winning streak moves to 3. Tonight inside FedEx Forum. Tickets available. Ticketmaster.com. Michael Eaves, he's up next.
Sonic Radio. Welcome back to Sonic RNDIO. That spells radio with me, the CIO. This just in, the new Sonic $1.99 menu lets you build a crave-worthy meal for just $1.99 an item. Whether that's a creamy shake, crispy tots, or a quarter-pound double cheeseburger. This just out. Ostriches. They're mean, not very cute, and in my opinion, way too big for a bird. Don't miss the Sonic Fun 99 menu. 5 items, always $1.99. Live free, eat Sonic.
Tax not included. See menu for details.
When it's all on the line, you turn to the strong, the stable, the unwavering. To those with a history of raising their performance to meet the moment. It's true in basketball. It's true in banking. Grizzlies checking from Pinnacle. Play hard. Bank easy. Open a Grizzlies checking account with at least $100 and a recurring direct deposit by August 31st. And you could receive a $200 direct deposit bonus into your account. Details at grizzliesbanking.com. Member FDIC.
Southland Casino Hotel is helping you navigate to Santa. Win your share of up to $340,000 in free play or a 2024 Lincoln Navigator. Here Comes Santa kicks off November 24th. Get 1 free entry and earn additional entries for weekly Saturday drawings. Don't forget the grand finale drawing on Saturday, December 21st to win up to $5,000 in free play or a 2024 Lincoln Navigator. Win big during Here Comes Santa, only at Southland Casino Hotel.
Must be 21 plus. Play responsibly. For help quoting, call 800-522-4700.
Grizzlies fans know it's the team that gives you the edge. Big River Steel does too. And much like the Grizzlies have recruited legendary talent, we want you to be part of our team. Are you ready to be part of something legendary? Then visit www.bigriversteel.com. That's www.bigriversteel.com.
Kroger shoppers and Grizz fans, want exclusive last-minute discounted ticket deals texted straight to you during the Grizzlies 2024-2025 season? Sign up with the new Kroger Buzzer Beater deal. Fans can sign up by texting Grizz to 636-479 or visit your local Kroger store in the Delta Division and scan the QR code. By signing up, you agree to receive recurring automated promotional and personalized marketing text messages from the Memphis Grizzlies. Consent is not a condition of any purchase. Message frequency varies. Message and data rates may apply.
Can't wait. It's time to get it popping.
It's going to be crazy. The fans are going to be loud. We need just energy.
Yes. Back to Jared for the flash.
We're going to need, the Forum rocking. We're going to need, everybody in Memphis to be out there to come to support. When the fans are good, we're good. Simple as that.
A Payne three. Yes, sir. Desmond Payne with ice water in his veins.
We'll ride the energy together.
Thanks for showing up, Memphis. Nothing beats catching your Grizzlies IRL, and nobody knows that better than you. So next time you want to hit up a game, Ticketmaster's got your back with tickets to every upcoming matchup. Whether you're catching the Grizzlies at home or on the road, you'll find tickets at Ticketmaster, the official ticket marketplace of Memphis Grizzlies and the NBA. Keep putting that jersey collection to use and get Grizzlies tickets today. There's no better brag than saying you saw it live. See you courtside again soon, Memphis.
Looking for unique gifts and the spirit of Memphis? The Memphis Grizzlies are hosting Grizz Shop Local in the grand lobby of FedEx Forum. On November 30th from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m., discover a curated collection of Memphis and Mid-South small businesses all in one place. From handmade art to delicious treats, you can find something special for the holidays while supporting the heart of our community. Come join us on November 30th and support Memphis by shopping local.
Welcome back, Gary Parrish Show, presented by Ortho South. We're inside the Built Ford Tough studio, and on Mondays in the second segment, I'm joined by Michael Eaves, studio host for ESPN. He was out in Las Vegas all weekend, F1 race. He joins me now. Let's start there. I saw you out in Vegas, F1 race. What's it like to be in Las Vegas for an F1 race?
You know, I've been to Vegas for pretty much every sporting event there is, from basketball to, NBA and obviously UFC. It's definitely a different type of energy. And I think there's a little more anticipation, Gary, with the fans because the sport is relatively new to the masses here in the States over the last 5-6 years, whatever. But the thing that gets me about it more than anything, and one of the reasons I love going to sporting events, it's hard to get me to go to one where I'm not working, but when I am there, it just gives you a true appreciation of the sport itself that you can't always glean from television, right? The speed of these cars at F1 is just really hard to fathom unless you just stand there and they're going past you, right? And you get that buzz of acceleration going through you. So from a sports fan, I always like to be able to feel what I'm watching, and you can only do that if you're there in person to really get it, right? But I think just the people around it, and as Vegas tries to figure out, really how to sell F1 in Vegas, it's only going to get better. I mean, I wish they could have it maybe a couple weeks earlier in the year or 5 or 6 hours earlier in the day so it's not as cold at night. But I think from a popularity standpoint, it's just going to continue to be a really big deal there in Vegas.
It is not a sport that I follow, not because I don't think I would enjoy it if I did, but because I only have so much bandwidth and I feel like it's full. But I have friends who didn't really care, watched the Netflix stuff, and then got latched on. And next thing you know, they're setting alarms to get up and watch races. Do you have a sense for how much Netflix has helped grow that sport?
Oh, here in America, I'll give them 60% of the growth over the last couple of years. Matter of fact, we did on that Friday night show, I did an interview with Kyrie Irving after they beat the Nuggets in Denver, and I was talking about Vegas, and he says, I'm an F1 fan because of that Netflix series. Right. And that is very common when you talk to people who kind of just new to the sport the last couple of years. And what that series did, for those who didn't watch it, it educated you more about the sport itself, but it also gave you some insight into the personalities that drive the sport, right? And then that's where the interest comes from. You don't have to be an expert about F1 and rear wings and lower dispersion, all that kind of stuff, but you can be a fan of Lewis Hamilton or Carlos Sainz or Max Verstappen or even some of the principal owners and stuff like that. That can be your hook. And next thing, you're worried about the competition because you have an interest in a particular person, right? Because you can be a casual fan and still have an interest in watching, whether it's the Masters with Tiger Woods back in the day or MLS with Messi. You just need a hook to get you in, and that's what the Netflix series did for F1.
Meantime, and I didn't plan on asking you about this, but it just sort of pops into my head as we're talking. I don't mean to catch you off guard, but we're both from the South. And there was a time where NASCAR was very big, and it was almost unavoidable. I'd walk into somebody's house and it'd be on, and even I was aware of who was winning races every Sunday. And as I'm thinking through this, I have no idea what's going on in NASCAR. I don't know who wins, who loses, who's dead, who's alive, who still races, who doesn't. What has happened to that, if you have any thoughts on that?
Here's what happened in NASCAR, and I was a NASCAR fan as well growing up in the South. It was a regional sport that became popular nationally, right? But at some point, NASCAR as a whole forgot about what made them popular in their own region, and they tried to go corporate to really kind of capitalize on the popularity and make as much money as possible. But then they didn't know how to sell it nationally, right? And by chasing all the corporate dollars, you kind of lose your identity. And that's exactly what happened with NASCAR. And now, because of that, F1 has been able to come into the U.S. and be way more popular than it ever was, and right now it's more popular than NASCAR. They have 3 races. F1 has 3 races in the U.S. That's the most of any country in the world, and F1 is an international circuit. But now they have 3 races here in the States because it's become so popular. A lot of people don't know the 3 most popular races of NASCAR now, right? Or when they're held on the calendar, which is really more important because they lost sight of who they were. And honestly, I don't know how they can get it back unless they try to do something that Netflix did and went out there and sell these drivers, because everyone had a favorite driver back in the day. You were Earnhardt, you were Allison, you were Waltrip, you were whoever. In NASCAR now, a lot of people don't have those type of affiliations to the drivers themselves because it just all feels too corporate when it used to be a very regional sport.
Talking to Michael Eaves from ESPN. Let's switch to college football. I don't know that you can get on the hot seat after 1 year or during your first season, but Kalen DeBoer looks like he's trying down in Alabama. They're not used to losing down there. He now has 3 of them this season, the latest coming to an unranked Oklahoma team in which his offense only scored 3 points. He obviously, just go check out the Wikipedia page. This guy has won every step of the way. This is not going well. How complex is this getting for him in Tuscaloosa?
Probably not as much as some people are trying to portray, quite honestly. Because I always say when a legend leaves, there's going to be some natural drop-off, right? And sometimes legends are really smart. They know when to leave, okay? I'm not saying Nick Saban left because he knew this team wasn't going to be as good as his team last year, but that could be the possibility, right? It's hard to maintain a level of greatness by anybody, okay, including Nick Saban or others who've had a lot of success. And when that leader of that greatness leaves, there's going to be a drop-off because there's a vacuum, right? Something gets sucked out, and then now you have to fill that void. Well, so you have Kalen DeBoer coming in. He came from a new program and then tried to fill the void. It's not like they elevated someone on the staff behind Nick Saban to take that job. There's going to be a drop-off. And sometimes, Gary, I know fans hate to hear this, especially fans of Alabama who are going through this. Sometimes those other teams are really good too, right? And I'm not saying they should lose to Vandy or anybody else that they've lost to that they're not having comfort with, especially Oklahoma. That was a bad loss in my eyes. But sometimes those other teams are better. And you just have to understand that everything is cyclical, right? Alabama didn't win the championship every year. Sometimes they didn't go to the SEC title game, right? It happens. And this year in 2024, maybe whether Nick Saban was there or not, they wouldn't have challenged for the championship.
Well, for a while, Alabama had a couple of undeniable advantages. They had the greatest coach of all time and probably the greatest resources in college football. Yeah. Now, as great as Kalen DeBoer might be, he's not Nick Saban, so you don't have that coaching advantage that you for a long time had. And I don't know that they have a resource advantage anymore because everybody's got more money than they know what to do with, and everybody's buying players. Not to imply that Alabama was buying them before, but Alabama was getting the best, and they're not getting the best as much as they used to get the best above everybody else. And so I wonder if on some level Nick Saban didn't see this coming as well and thought, I'm not going to be able to run this thing the way I used to. The conference is getting bigger. Everybody is going to be buying players, and he might have picked a good time to get out too.
First of all, Gary, are you really going to say Alabama wasn't buying players when you literally wrote a story about Alabama buying players?
I didn't want to say it, but I get your point.
Okay. All right. Nonetheless, they were, as were so many other programs, but yes. They had a significant advantage there. But yes, the landscape of college football has changed, and player movement has a lot to do with it. So you're getting programs that are getting players they wouldn't have otherwise because now it's much easier to reach those players and give them money directly, okay? And so what you've done, you've added a level of parity to college football that wasn't there the last couple of years, and programs are having to adapt. And another thing as it relates to the coaching, whether Kalen DeBoer individually can be as good as Nick Saban individually, how good is the staff at Alabama? Because you look at the staff that Nick Saban put together on a consistent basis. So many of those coaches went on to be head coaches elsewhere and have a lot of success, right? Kirby Smart is maybe the best example of how good he was at putting together quality coaching staffs. Maybe Kalen DeBoer hasn't been able to do that yet. It's his first season. He doesn't know who's going to be good, who's going to be bad. It's 1 year, Alabama fans. Ease up. Now, if it's a trend for 2 or 3 years, then by all means do what you want to do and spend your money and go find someone else. But 1 year after a legend leaves, what was it like when Bear Bryant left? What was it like when Bill Belichick left? What was it like when Vince Lombardi left? What was it like when Bill Parcells left? You can go through all many coaches on many levels. What was the fall off the year after they left? Maybe Barry Switzer after Jimmy Johnson left the Dallas Cowboys is the only example of that's ability to win still being the same level. But other than that, no, man, it's not like that.
Let's go to the NFL. A year or two ago, Saquon Barkley was the face of, great as they might be, running backs aren't that valuable. You can't pay them. Then he has the night he had last night, and people are suddenly talking about maybe the MVP should be a running back in Philadelphia. Is he redefining the value of running backs, or is this just a nice little story, but we're not going to change big ideas?
I hope he is. And here's what happened to Saquon Barkley and every other quality running back in the league. They became the victim of analytics, quite honestly, where these teams were relying on these numbers, and the data was saying that running backs as a whole lose value, blah, 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 blah. Where what you should be doing when it comes to player evaluation is evaluating the individual players, because there are outliers at every position, right? They started overpaying for quarterbacks who weren't top 10 worthy coming out of the draft, and looking at guys like, all right, well, this guy's better because he's a quarterback. We can always find another running back. Can you? Can you find another Saquon Barkley? Can you find another Derrick Henry? Because the Cowboys would love to have either right now, and they thought we can just get someone else, right? You have to look at individual players as individuals because they have a different impact on whatever field they're playing on, whatever team they're representing. You can't just blanket these players anymore based on some algorithm that tells you you can get another one in 2.5 years. That's not how it flies. And what's really showing me is you need better running backs to make better quarterbacks. If you rely on young quarterbacks solely to carry a team and they don't have a running game behind them, they are doomed for failure. We continue to see it, but for whatever reason, these GMs and these owners who rely on all these analytics to make solely their decisions are finding out, yeah, our quarterback's not good, and we just paid him $108 million, now he's going. That's what happened in New York. They chose Daniel Jones over Saquon Barkley. Now, hindsight's always 20/20, but most people before that said, why would you give up a proven product for someone who hasn't proven anything yet? That's what the Giants did, but they're not alone in that philosophy.
You and I have talked about young quarterbacks before, and I believe you've said that, good or bad, probably not wise to make any bold claims about anybody, without like a 2-year sample size, something larger, which brings me to Jayden Daniels. A few weeks ago, he looked like one of the greatest rookie quarterbacks of all time, gets a little bit of a rib thing. 3-game losing streak now. It's never all the quarterback's fault, but his completion percentage has gone from, he was completing about 75% of his passes. It's down to 61.5 now. Again, the rib thing might just be the explanation for this, but what do you make of how that thing has twisted a little bit?
Well, the injury thing could be real. We just don't know how much it affects him. He would never say publicly.
Right.
But number two, especially when it comes to young players, like the league doesn't know Jayden Daniels either, right? And so the more film that a team gets, the more things they can figure out, right? And then that's why the true tell of anyone who's going to be good in this league is how that player adapts to how the teams adapt to him, right? And so now Jayden Daniels is going through a second learning process of his rookie season. You get it in training camp, you get it when the games start, and then you get it towards the second half of the season now that teams have more tape on you to dissect what you are good at and what you're not good at. That's what's happening to him right now. Now, as far as the Commanders themselves are concerned, and he's part of it as well, it's really been turnovers, right? I think they had 3 turnovers in the first 9 games of the year, and they were really successful. The last 3 games, they've had a total of 5 turnovers, and that really cost them the game yesterday and even the game 2 weeks ago. So it is about turning the ball over, and for younger players, that's one thing that they really have to be reminded of. Ball security means everything in the NFL.
That is Michael Eaves from ESPN. Make sure you're watching him on SportsCenter. Make sure you follow him on Twitter or X at Michael Eaves. That's at Michael Eaves. Big week for your Wildcats. I think they should jump into the top 10 of the AP poll later on today. Congratulations. Enjoy your basketball this week.
Hope is hope.
Hope is hope. I'll see you later, buddy. That's Michael Eaves from ESPN. Yeah, it's a great college basketball week. And
it's a great week.
It's just a great week.
This is actually, I would argue this is the best sports week of the year.
You love this week.
This is the best because you've got it all. You got big NFL games, big college football games, big college basketball games, big NBA games. Like it's like you got it all this week. Yeah.
I think there's a there's a window in the calendar where you get college football, NFL, the end of Major League Baseball, the beginning of the NBA, and I feel like that's my favorite time. And as I'm saying that, I realize we just did it, and I don't think I enjoyed it as much as I should have.
You didn't enjoy it as much as you should have.
I don't think I appreciated it.
Yeah, you weren't living in the moment.
I don't think I was living in the moment.
Yeah, I am like leaning more basketball.
You like Feast Week?
Well, I hate football now.
I would too if I were you.
I don't like football anymore. Like it's like any other year. Beating the Texans, like when they're supposed to win and the Titans go there and beat them, like that's supposed to be awesome. I'm supposed to have a great time, right? Except I don't want to win games. And now, my God, I've got everybody talking about how Will Levis looked good yesterday. Will Levis looked good. Dude, they should have won that game by a million. He had like 2 horrible turnovers. Speaking of turnovers, he had 2 more horrible turnovers in that game. And I'm just sitting here like, we are really going to, A, win too many games and not be able to get the best quarterback in this draft because the Panthers and the Giants both lost yesterday. And B, they're going to talk themselves into putting this dude out there for another season, and I'm going to throw up all over myself. I'm sick of it, man.
Bennett decided he was talking about the Titans today, whether we wanted to or not.
Well, when y'all started talking about Jaden Daniels, and I'm like thinking about young quarterbacks, and I'm like, dude, I've been so hopeful. Like, I'm like, okay, we're doing this. Like, we're 2-8. We're going to do this. We're going to get the number 1 pick. We're going to get whoever the best quarterback in this draft is. I'm not certain on who that is just yet. I haven't made up my mind. And now I'm sitting here today on a Monday seeing this fan base talk themselves into Will Levis, and I want to puke.
I was just trying to get to a Tiger basketball segment. I didn't know he was going to do all this, but you fired up this morning.
I'm sick. Again, beating the Texans is fun. Like, I love beating them. I want them to suffer. Like,
suffer?
Yeah, I want them to suffer.
Haven't they been through enough? They had a hurricane?
I want them to suffer. I want their football team to suffer.
They've suffered.
I want their football team to suffer.
They were underwater.
And but like yesterday, of all those games, yesterday's the one that I would have been totally great with losing.
Yeah.
And we were well on our way, and then they found a way to freaking win. Thanks, CJ Stroud.
Just nothing ever goes the way you want it to go.
No.
Well,
I'm just sick of it.
You ready to get used to it.
Yeah. I'm excited about the Tigers, though.
Get used to it. This is your life.
Yeah, it is.
This is your life. Get used to it. You don't get to have somebody else's life. This is yours. This is your life.
Yeah.
Get used to it.
Yeah. I'm all jacked out. Yeah, I told you I'm on steroids.
Oh, yeah. Bennett's on steroids now.
I hurt my leg. Shout out to the good people at Ortho South. Those are great people over there.
Yeah.
Went there. They're taking care of me. I got a little pain in my leg, but like on the package it says that you can, spread them out throughout the day, or you can just take them all in one sitting. And I knew it was going to be a busy day today, so I was like, let's just go ahead and take all these steroids right now so I don't forget. That was probably a mistake because mix it with coffee and like you're just like.
It's definitely a mistake because I did the same thing. I don't really listen to instructions so well. Like
it says do it whatever you want.
Like when people talk to me, at some point I stop listening. Mm-hmm. I don't hear everything somebody's saying, almost ever.
Yeah.
I don't.
Yeah.
So like the nice people at Ortho South, they're like, and so you want to take these steroids, and you're going to take them every morning, and at that point, I just stop listening. Mm-hmm. But what they continue to say was, you're going to take them in the morning, this part, and then take the rest of this part later, and then the rest of this part later.
Yeah.
And all I heard was you're going to take them in the morning. I was like, okay, yeah, sure. Yeah. Good. And so I like you, tried to overdose on steroids one morning with like a bowl of Lucky Charms.
Yeah. Well, like my package said, like it says you can take them all in one sitting, like, or you can spread them out throughout the day. And I was like, I'm a man, dude. Like I can handle these roids. It's fine. No biggie.
You storm one Capitol and you think you can take steroids for breakfast. Maybe that's how you end up storming Capitals, is by taking steroids for breakfast.
Yeah, it does get your mind a little...
It's a little bit of a chicken egg thing. A little bit of a chicken egg situation we got going on. Well, I hope you make it through the day. I'm glad to see you went to the doctor and you got treated. That's important in life.
That is.
When you're not feeling so well and things aren't, that's why they make these places.
Still got physical therapy coming up, so.
You have to go to physical therapy?
I do, yeah. It's part of the package. It's part of the package.
What is going on with you exactly?
They're taking care of me, man.
I know, but like I mean, I hurt all the time, but it never occurs to me to go to physical therapy. Like, I still think my left hand is broken. Mm-hmm. I think I have a broken left hand from a water slide in the Bahamas.
No, I've had this.
And I'm just dealing with it. Like, I can't. That's as much as I can. Like, I can close this hand, buddy. I could do anything with this hand. But this one, it doesn't close the same way.
Oh, it doesn't. Wow. That's a weak little hand you got over there.
I got a weak little left hand.
What's going on?
I broke it on a water slide in the Bahamas. I was going down the slide.
I can see the difference.
I think it's I think if I went and got imaging, there's a fracture in here somewhere.
Yeah.
I'd be. But Grizzlies PR had me out for the rest of the year.
That's right.
I guarantee it.
We can get you in at ortho.
I can get myself in at ortho.
They like us over there.
I know
they like us over there.
But I don't. Here's the thing. I don't want to hear that I need to have surgery on my hand because I can still kind of do everything I want to do. It's just I notice there's a discomfort there.
Yeah.
Like if I were having to fight Jake Paul tonight, this would be a problem.
Yeah.
This wouldn't.
You.
This wouldn't. This one. But this one hurts a little bit.
Would it be a problem? I've heard things about those fights.
I think it'd be a problem.
Uh-huh.
So I was going down a water slide with my last day in the Bahamas, and my middle guy was like, "Can you ride the water slides with me?" I said, "Of course I can." My Mets hat flew off in a tube water slide, and I get to the bottom, and I'm like, "Yo, my hat fell off." They said, "Well, it's probably just still sitting in there, or somebody might grab it on the way down, but you could probably go back down and try to grab it on the way down." I said, "Okay, I'll do it." I didn't know if it'd work, but I said I'd give it a shot. We went right back up the water slide, went down it again. I identified the Mets hat. I saw it sitting there.
Yeah.
It was on my left side. I'm going to try to grab it on the way down, but we're in a tube. Like, we're going fast, Bennett.
Yeah.
We're going fast.
Yeah.
I reached down to try to grab the Mets hat like this. The tube jumps over like a little hill, and my hand goes boom and hits that tube. Bam! Like that right there. Boom! Like that right there. Bam! One of those. I think I've got a fracture.
Damn.
I think I've got a fracture.
All right, well, when I go to my Ortho South appointment later this week and start physical therapy, I'll mention you. I'll mention you.
I need my left hand. Not as much as my right, but I need my left hand.
That's right.
You know?
Yeah.
So I don't want to, I can still use it. I can still function with this, but I'm in pain. I'm playing through pain right now, if you wanted to know the truth. Penny Hardaway's Tigers are out in Maui today.
Oh, they're not in pain. They're feeling good.
You think they're feeling good?
I think they should be feeling themselves a little bit.
You think they're riding high?
I need them to feel themselves a little bit.
They are undefeated with a scheduled tip-off at 1:30 this afternoon against Dan Hurley's back-to-back champs. They're the double champs. It's the UConn Huskies. We'll get you ready for that next. It's Feast Week. Bennett's favorite week of the year. Be back in a second.
Grizzlies fans know it's the team that gives you the edge. Big River Steel does too. And much like the Grizzlies have recruited legendary talent, we want you to be part of our team. Are you ready to be part of something legendary? Then visit www.bigriversteel.com. That's www.bigriversteel.com.
Looking for unique gifts and the spirit of Memphis? The Memphis Grizzlies are hosting Grizz Shop Local in the grand lobby of FedEx Forum. On November 30th from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m., discover a curated collection of Memphis and Mid-South small businesses all in one place. From handmade art to delicious treats, you can find something special for the holidays while supporting the heart of our community. Come join us on November 30th and support Memphis by shopping local.
The top 5 worst teams in the NFL. I think the Panthers are the worst team in the NFL.
I got the Saints number 1. Ha ha ha! Let's put the Aints up there. They're terrible.
I'll take the Titans as my worst team in the NFL. If they played Will Levis, they're for sure the worst team. Maybe in NFL history. Might be worse than the 0-16 Lions if they play Will Levis.
The Odds Couple, live at 2 p.m. on YouTube at Grind City Media and the official Grind City Media app.
Goldberg announces he's going to have a retirement match in 2025, and he said this on College Game Day.
We know you're trying to ride the coattails because the 2025 is supposed to be the year of John Cena. Goldberg, I have a message for you, my guy. We don't care about your retirement match. Your retirement match was 3 years ago. Go somewhere, go away.
Tune in to Grind City Wrestling weekly on the Grind City Media app and on the Grind City Media YouTube channel.
Who will lead the Grizz in steals this season?
I'm going to go with Pippen for steals this season.
So I'm going to go with Jaren. I'm going to go, as long as he's in the rotation, I'm going to go Jake LaRavia for total steals, and I'll have Marcus Smart in my back pocket for steals per game.
Hey, Grizzlies fans, be sure to tune in to Grizzbeat, where the panel and I break down all things Grizzlies and take a look at the rest of the NBA as well. The show is live every Wednesday, 2 p.m. on YouTube at Grind City Media and the official Grind City Media app.
Yellow laces, really bright yellow primary color. You got black on the trim and on the edges.
I gotta get 'em.
And you got some red there as well. Look at that right there, Mike. Look at that right there.
Man, look at that G. Look at that G, boy. That G is moving strong right there, too, man.
Get all of your HBCU sports and culture news by tuning in to HBCU Huddle with CJ Hurt and Mike Wallace. New episodes drop every Thursday on grindcitymedia.com, YouTube, and Spotify.
Let's face it, there's a lot of trash talk in basketball, but the great teams let their performance do the talking. Like Ford F-150 with Pro Power on board, a class-exclusive industry-first feature that turns your truck into a mobile generator and leaves the competition speechless. Ford F-150, official truck of the Grizzlies. Greatness starts here at your Mid-South Ford dealer. Class is full-size pickups under 8,500 pounds, GVWR.
Thanks for showing up, Memphis. Nothing beats catching your Grizzlies IRL, and nobody knows that better than you. So next time you want to hit up a game, Ticketmaster's got your back with tickets to every upcoming matchup. Whether you're catching the Grizzlies at home or on the road, you'll find tickets at Ticketmaster, the official ticket marketplace of the Memphis Grizzlies and the NBA. Keep putting that jersey collection to use and get Grizzlies tickets today. There's no better brag than saying you saw it live. See you courtside again soon, Memphis.
Scheduled for 1:30 this afternoon on ESPN2. It's UConn against Memphis in round one of the Maui Invitational at the Lahaina Civic Center in Maui, Hawaii. Big Bet Bennett, you ready? We got the good show today. We ain't going to be working at 1:30. We're out of here.
Yeah, I'll be here, but I'm gonna have it pulled up on my phone.
We're gonna have stuff pulled up on phones.
I have it pulled up on my phone.
We're gonna be able to focus.
Yes,
it's the first real big game of the season for Penny Hardaway's Tigers. It's game 5 of year 7. It's your unranked Memphis Tigers against the double champs, the back-to-back champs, Dan Hurley's UConn Huskies, also undefeated and ranked second in the AP poll. UConn is listed as an 8.5-point favorite. The total is 149.5. Are you optimistic, Bennett?
About winning? Maybe not gonna go there. I mean, it's freaking UConn.
It is UConn.
Yeah, but it goes back to what we were kind of saying last week. You got yourself in a great position by going 4-0 to start this season with a couple nice wins in there to just get a free swing. And so this is great stuff. Like you're playing one of the best teams in college basketball. You get a free swing. If you lose, this loss is more than likely not going to hurt you at all on your resume. And if you win, then you can get really, really excited about some things. Plus, if you lose, you got other good opportunities coming up this week anyways.
I think you could feel good coming out of this as long as you don't get humiliated.
In the tournament, you mean, or in
just
this game? This
today.
Game, gotcha. Yeah.
I think you can feel okay. Game tips at 1:30, be done by 3:30.
Mm-hmm.
I think by 4 o'clock, you're feeling okay, win or lose, as long as you don't get embarrassed.
I think so, too.
Just don't get humiliated. Go out and play UConn tough. Don't make it where one of these, don't go down 14-1.
Right.
Don't be down 64-35 in the second. Just don't get humiliated.
Yeah.
Go out and look the part. Nobody expects you to go out and beat the double champs on a neutral court the week of Thanksgiving. UConn is ranked second in the country. They're an 8.5-point favorite over you. You're not supposed to win the game. But I'm not ruling out the possibility that they could. 8.5-point underdogs win basketball games all the time.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of everything attached to UConn right now, this specific team, it's all reputation based. I promise you, if UConn was named something else, Dan Hurley was somebody else, based on what they returned, even with what they've accomplished, they would not be ranked second in the country. You ready for this? Iowa State last year won 29 games in the toughest league in America, finished alone in second in that league, got a 2 seed in the NCAA tournament, and then returned the top 4 scorers from that team. And was like borderline top 5 in the preseason AP poll. And people took issue with that. People were like, really, Iowa State? Mm-hmm. How can you put Iowa State the top 5? Well, they won 29 games last year in the toughest league in America. Finished second in that league behind only Houston. Got a 2 seed in the NCAA tournament and returned the top 4 scorers. What are you talking about? But people took issue with that because it didn't sound right. Iowa State? Who's their pro? Taman Lipsey? Who is that? So people just rejected it out of hand, even though it is supported by real data. Mm-hmm. It's not entirely the same team, but it's the core of it's the same team that we've already seen be really good last season. All we're doing is asking them to be what they've already been. It's the top 4 scorers are all the same people. The coach is the same dude. That is not the case at UConn. UConn lost 4 starters. They brought back their least important starter. I say that respectfully, but the other 4 are in the NBA. Mm-hmm. And Alex Karabin would have been too had he entered the draft. I believe that. I think all 5 UConn starters would have been in the draft. Would be in the NBA right now. But if you're ranking those 5, he was 5 of 5. And if Stephon Castle and Donovan Clingan were the top end of the roster in terms of NBA talent, if Tristan Newton was top end of the roster in terms of college production, well, Alex Karabin would have ranked 5th of the 5 starters. Mm-hmm. He's the one that's back. They brought in a 5-star prospect in Liam McNeely, but it's not Cooper Flagg. It's not Ace Bailey. What I'm telling you is that if UConn was Iowa State, they'd probably be ranked 13th in the country, 16th in the country, 21st in the country. And you know what people say? Yeah, they've been great, but they bring back 1 starter. Mm-hmm. They lost 4 starters. They're asking a bunch of guys who have been role players to be something other than that. Yeah, they brought in a 5-star freshman, but it's not it's not Cooper Flagg. Yeah, they brought in a high-profile transfer, but it's not Chaz Lanier. It's not Kadari Richmond. UConn is ranked 2nd in the country right now because people just see UConn, they see Dan Hurley, and they say that must be great. And I want to be clear, they might be great. They might be great. They might win a 3rd straight national championship. Mm-hmm. But we don't know that they're great yet. The collection of people who are going to be in UConn uniforms today, we've never seen them be great. Not against competent competition, because like Memphis, they are 4-0. But at least Memphis has played Missouri, UNLV, San Francisco. UConn's played nobody.
Right.
They played Sacred Heart, Lemoyne, Texas A&M Commerce, and New Hampshire. Those teams are ranked in order: 321, 334, 350, and 354 at KenPom. They've been like 35-point favorites in every game and won every game by like 35 points.
Yeah.
They just we don't know anything about them.
Yeah.
What we might find out today is that, surprise, surprise,
it's UConn.
It's
right?
UConn, and Dan Hurley's got another awesome team.
Right.
I want to be very clear about that. I'm just saying, if I'm Penny Hardaway and I'm trying to make my guys believe we can do this, and maybe you don't have to make them believe. Maybe they already believe, right? Maybe coming from behind over and over again.
Yeah.
Against not great teams, but good ones. Maybe they've gotten to a point where they believe they can go do this. I'll never forget, I was on the beat, I guess it was Thanksgiving 2005, on the beat for the Commercial Appeal. And this is my last season at the Commercial Appeal. Mm-hmm. And we were in New York for the Thanksgiving preseason NIT or whatever the event was. But it was one of those deals where you play, I want to say on Wednesday night, and then you take Thanksgiving off because it's all football on Thanksgiving. You can't even get on TV. And then the championship game is played on Friday night at the Garden. So what I remember about the trip, the main thing that I remember about the trip is on Thanksgiving Day, the teams were having a Thanksgiving dinner at the Marriott Marquis, like the hotel. Mm. And me and at the time, it was my family was just me and my wife and our oldest son, who was a baby at the time. So just doing the math on it, this would have been 2000. He'd been 2 years old, right? 2 heading into 3. So we were all there. And I just remember it being sweet, just being in New York for Thanksgiving and having your family with you. But we had we had Thanksgiving lunch with all the teams, and we got seated with UCLA, and so Aiden wouldn't know this or even care, but like he had Thanksgiving dinner with like Aaron Aflalo and Darren Collison. And,
pretty cool.
Yeah. Like we sat with Aaron Aflalo and Darren, like that type of thing. So Memphis beat UCLA, if I remember correctly. I want to say they beat UCLA on that Wednesday night before then losing to UCLA in the Elite Eight out in Oakland. But it set up I promise there's a point to this. It sets up a Friday night Memphis against Duke. And I want to say it was like J.J. Redick and that Duke. And sort of the idea was like, how cool is it going to be to play Duke in the Garden? And we were going to like Sean Williams and Rodney, whoever else was on that team. But the ones I remember mostly were like Sean Williams and Andre Allen, the Memphis kids. And it was like, so what's it going to be like? I'll never forget this. Andre Allen said this. And I remember like Roger Rubin from one of the New York papers was there. Like it was, and they were just blown away by the Memphis guys. But the whole premise of the conversations were like, and now you get a shot at Duke in the Garden on a Friday night. What's that going to be like? And Andre Allen was like, why don't you go ask them what it's going to be like to play Memphis on a Friday night in the Garden?
I like it.
And it just spoke to the confidence they were carrying with them. From an outsider's perspective, it was like, how can you get Memphis to think they can go knock off Duke in the Garden on a Friday night? And in reality, the Memphis guys were the last people that needed to be convinced they could go knock off Duke on a Friday night in the Garden. They were ready to go do it. They were actually offended. Andre Allen was like, this isn't a quote, but this was the sentiment. Don't ask me what it's going to be like to play Duke in the Garden. Go ask J.J. Redick what's going to be like to play Memphis in the Garden, because that's what's happening here. They were walking around with that kind of confidence.
Yeah.
They lost.
I was going to say, I think I remember how that game ended. Yeah.
They lost.
Yeah.
But they did not lack confidence on that stage.
Yeah.
And this is a similar stage. I think that Memphis team was better than this Memphis team. And maybe this UConn's better than that Duke's. I don't know. But I just never forgot that if you thought you had to try to convince Memphis players that they could go knock off Duke, you were way out of line, because they thought they were going to and couldn't believe you would even think that they weren't about to. And so you never know, like, is these Memphis guys carrying around that kind of confidence?
I hope
We're all sitting here in Memphis talking about, what are you going to do with the double champs? And they might be sitting around going, man, I don't see no double champs. I see Dan Hurley and Alex Karaman. I don't know the rest of these guys. Let's go play.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, and then if they win or lose tomorrow, they're going to play Colorado or Michigan State. So like it's you go.
Oh man, there ain't no easy ones here.
Yeah, whatever happens today, you're going right into another big game tomorrow.
I mean, you could end up in a game against Dayton on Wednesday, and, and if you do, things have not gone well.
Right.
But yeah, this is a place where a good team can go 0-3. I mean, it's a place where honestly, if you come out of it 1-2 at Memphis, it's not a disaster.
Right.
Like 1-2 is not a disaster in this thing.
That's a good point. Yep.
So, but more than anything, just a big opportunity. And I think, at least when I can talk myself into, they've got to take over the game guy and PJ Haggerty. Collectively, they're shooting incredible from three. I don't know if that's real. It's just 4 games. I mean, you could take any 4-game stretch of any NBA team, even the worst, and find a 4-game stretch at some point where they shot it really well from 3. So is that what this is? I don't know. But all preseason, one of the obvious areas of concern, just you're looking at the numbers, because most of these guys, they have, they've done stuff at the collegiate level. You start pulling from, the high school ranks, it's like you don't know exactly how that's going to translate. So when you're looking at Duke, you're looking at Rutgers, they're heavily reliant on freshmen. A little harder to know what those guys can be or will be at the collegiate level because we hadn't seen it yet. PJ Haggerty played college basketball. Tyrese Hunter's played college basketball. We got all their numbers. There wasn't much in the data that suggested this would be a good 3-point shooting team. They've been great.
Yep.
I mean, it's 45.9%, ranks 3rd in the country. As recently as last week, it was number 1 in the country. I don't think they're going to be 45.9% on the season. I don't think anybody is. But could you be 38.9%? Because with the right volume, that's good enough to make you a great basketball team.
Yeah.
Either way, these are the types of things I love. I can't promise you how this game is going to go. I have no idea how this game is going to go. I like the idea that Memphians get this afternoon. It's something to think about. It's something to talk about. It's something to dream about. I know that the Penny Hardaway area has been more down than up. Not what any of us hoped or expected. You haven't felt as good about things as you'd like to or that you thought you would. But like today can provide one of those days.
Yeah.
It won't make all the other stuff go away, disappear. It won't mean that all of that stuff didn't happen or that all of the criticism directed in that direction at that time wasn't reasonable or worthy. But winning solves a lot of problems. Winning big games solves a lot of problems. Like I told Jess earlier, you know, if Memphis basketball has been the most chaotic program in America over the past however many years, and you could sensibly argue that it has, you know, Kansas might be number 2. But people don't care that much because there's another investigation into a Kansas assistant coach. For every one of those, there's a national championship. Mm-hmm. There's a Big 12 title. There's a number 4 ranking. There's an All-American. There's sold-out Allen Fieldhouse and another victory on Big Monday. So you get the on-the-court success to offset all the nonsense. At Memphis, the biggest problem has been there hasn't been enough on-the-court success to drown out some of the nonsense. But, buddy, a win over UConn this afternoon in Maui.
It might do it.
It would definitely do it.
Yep.
Tips at 1:30. It's on ESPN2. We'll watch it together, and then we'll talk about it tomorrow. When we come back, turn our attention to college football. The Ole Miss Rebels went to the Swamp, and they lost. Why'd they do that? Should not have done that. I would not have recommended that if you're trying to go to the college football playoff. We'll talk Ole Miss's disappointing Saturday. We'll do that next. Gary Parrish Show presented by Ortho South.
Thanks for showing up, Memphis. Nothing compares to catching your Grizzlies IRL. And that all starts with buying tickets at Ticketmaster, the official ticket marketplace of the Memphis Grizzlies and the NBA. Ticketmaster gets you to the game so you can catch every highlight. Put that jersey collection to use for the next game and get Grizzlies tickets at Ticketmaster. Whether they're here at FedEx Forum or on the road, Ticketmaster's got your back when it comes to scoring tickets. And there's no better brag than saying you saw it live.
Sonic Radio. Welcome back to Sonic RNDIO. That spells radio with me, the CIO. This just in, the new Sonic $1.99 menu lets you build a crave-worthy meal for just $1.99 an item. Whether that's a creamy shake, crispy tots, or a quarter-pound double cheeseburger. This just out. Ostriches. They're mean, not very cute, and in my opinion, way too big for a bird. Don't miss the Sonic Fun 99 menu. 5 items, always $1.99. Live free, eat Sonic.
Tax not included. See menu for details.
There's no substitute for experience, the knowledge gained from having been there before, and the passion to share what you know to make everyone around you better. It's true in basketball. It's true in banking. Grizzlies checking from Pinnacle. Play hard. Bank easy.
Open a Grizzlies checking account with at least $100 and a recurring direct deposit by August 31st, and you could receive a $200 direct deposit bonus into your account. Details at grizzliesbanking.com. Member FDIC.
Grizzlies fans know it's the team that gives you the edge. Big River Steel does too. And much like the Grizzlies have recruited legendary talent, we want you to be part of our team. Are you ready to be part of something legendary? Then visit www.bigriversteel.com. That's www.bigriversteel.com.
Looking for a fun way to get your child active and involved with the Memphis Grizzlies? Ball out on the Grizzlies home court at Junior Grizzlies Game Day Clinics. Presented by Ortho South. Get your game ready for the big leagues. The first Junior Grizzlies Clinic tips off November 25th before the Grizzlies versus Trailblazers game. Take your child's skills to the next level by signing up at grizzlies.com/Junior Grizzlies. That's grizzlies.com/Junior Grizzlies. Don't miss out.
We didn't talk about owling, and you're telling me you didn't know owling?
What the hell is an owling?
Owling is worse than Tebowing.
What is an
How far can Kyra zoom out on this camera?
She can zoom all the way out.
Can she zoom out?
What are you doing?
I'm owling.
Okay. Wait, why were we doing this? What is that?
Tune in to the Jessica Benson Show with CJ Hurt live every weekday at 8 a.m. on YouTube at Grind City Media and the official Grind City Media app.
It's the top 5 worst teams in the NFL. I think the Panthers are the worst team in the NFL.
I got the Saints number 1. Let's put the Aints up there. They're terrible.
I'll take the Titans as my worst team in the NFL. If they played Will Levis, they're for sure the worst team. Maybe in NFL history. Might be worse than the 0-16 Lions if they play Will Levis.
The Odds Couple, live at 2 p.m. on YouTube at Grind City Media and the official Grind City Media app.
Yellow laces, really bright yellow primary color. You got black on the trim and on the edges. And you got some red there as well. Look at that right there, Mike. Look at that right there.
Man, look at that G. Look at that G, boy. That G is moving strong right there, too, man.
Get all of your HBCU sports and culture news by tuning in to HBCU Huddle with CJ Hurt and Mike Wallace. New episodes drop every Thursday on grindcitymedia.com, YouTube, and Spotify.
Who will lead the Grizz in steals this season?
I'm going to go with Pippen for steals this season.
So I'm going to go with Jaren.
I'm going to go, as long as he's in the rotation, I'm going to go Jaylen Wells for total steals, and I'll have Marcus Smart in my back pocket for steals per game.
Hey, Grizzlies fans, be sure to tune in to Grizz Beat, where the panel and I break down all things Grizzlies and take a look at the rest of the NBA as well. The show is live every Wednesday, 2 p.m. on YouTube at Grind City Media and the official Grind City Media app.
Kroger shoppers and Grizz fans, one exclusive last-minute discounted ticket deals texted straight to you during the Grizzlies 2024-2025 season. Sign up with the new Kroger Buzzer Beater deal. Fans can sign up by texting Grizz to 636-479 or visit your local Kroger store in the Delta Division and scan the QR code. By signing up, you agree to receive recurring automated promotional and personalized marketing text messages from the Memphis Grizzlies. Consent is not a condition of any purchase. Message frequency varies. Message and data rates may apply.
Orthopedic injuries can be unpredictable, unforeseen, and unscheduled. And Ortho South understands this better than anyone. Since your injuries don't make appointments, you don't need to either. And that's because Ortho South welcomes walk-ins during the weekdays and the evenings, and even on Saturdays. So next time an unforeseen injury makes an unscheduled appearance in your life, visit orthosouth.org like Bennett did to find your nearest urgent care location. Just walk in, and Ortho South's going to take care of everything, especially you. Learn more at orthosouth.org. That's orthosouth at orthosouth.org. Now I got 5 more things you need to know.
Number 1.
Ole Miss went down to Florida to play a college football game, and you're not going to believe what they did.
What happened?
They lost it, Bennett.
Oh, no.
They lost their college football game at the Swamp 24-17. So when Ole Miss entered the weekend, they were 8-2. Exited the weekend 8-3. And you know what that means?
What's it mean?
It means that when the college football playoff rankings update tomorrow, they are not expected to be a part of it anymore.
I wonder.
Dream could be dead.
I mean,
could have a dead dream.
I don't think their dream's dead.
I'm not saying their dream is dead. I'm saying it could be.
Yeah, I'm not. I think that they had other things happen for them that helps them in this situation.
That's the other thing.
Yeah.
Like you can get caught up in like, oh, it's over now. It's disappointing now. It's not necessarily. It might be over.
It might be.
It might not be. But this is sort of the thing I always end up. It's sort of a running joke on the On College Basketball podcast, where I say these very simple things, but try to make them sound like they're brilliant. The thing you got to remember, Bennett, about the NCAA tournament, when you're talking about who's in it, you got to put 68 teams in this thing.
That's right.
You got to put 68 teams in this thing. So you got to find them from somewhere. And that's like me trying to act smart. What am I really saying?
Yeah.
You got to fill out a bracket. I'm making stupid stuff sound smart. Well, Bennett, I mean, as a college basketball analyst, the thing I think sometimes people forget is that you got to put 68 teams.
That's right.
You got to put 68 teams in this thing.
That's what they say.
I'll say that on TV 7 different times come March. I promise you.
Yeah.
But it's the same thing here. We got to put 12 teams in this thing.
Mm-hmm.
And right now, Ole Miss, barring a surprise, is going to be on the outside looking in tomorrow. But get another week of goofy stuff, and maybe you could end up back where you want to be, but it's not looking great.
It's not, but I mean, like, okay, so Alabama, who's ahead of you, they had a way worse loss. I mean, they scored 3 points on the road at Oklahoma.
I would not have done that either. I wouldn't advise that.
And the teams that are kind of like right, but like BYU lost at Arizona State, Texas A&M lost at Auburn, Colorado lost to Kansas. Like, you had some things break your way, so I don't think it's necessarily over for them. They got to beat the crap out of Mississippi State, though.
Yeah, but that ain't hard.
That's not hard.
Yeah.
That's not hard.
People have been doing that all year.
Yeah, and that's the Egg Bowl. Like, it could get weird.
It does get weird sometimes.
Gets weird,
sometimes it does get weird.
Yeah.
It's not looking good, but crazier things have happened.
Yeah.
Crazier things have happened. It does sort of Ole Miss. Obviously, I've got a lot of friends who are Ole Miss fans, right? Mm-hmm. Based on where I live, and it does feel like that fan base. I empathize with them a little bit. It almost feels like they understand. They're not Mets fans, but they would understand what it's like to be a Mets fan. Ole Miss fans, what I think, particularly Ole Miss football fans. Like maybe Ole Miss baseball fans. Maybe they were loving life a few years ago. They won a World Series. But Ole Miss football fans, I think they would understand what it's like to be a Mets fan. That there are always these moments where things could go well, and it's reasonable to assume that they will. But you think they won't, and then they don't. Mm-hmm. Right? Mm-hmm. Like, you're always waiting for that bad thing to happen, and everybody around you is like, relax, buddy. This is going to be fine. You're doing it. And you're like, but it just never works out.
Right.
They consistently think, even when things are going well, it's not going to work out. And you know what? They're always right. It never works out.
It never works out.
They're always like, man, we got a team good enough to play for the SEC title this season. But you never play for it. They make Heisman bumper stickers. This has happened multiple times in my life. They never have a Heisman winner. They've always got the bumper stickers. And I'm not mocking them. I understand them. It never works out. Hey, all you got to do to solidify a place in the college football playoff, perhaps, is beat Florida and Mississippi State. That's where we're at.
Come on. It's easy.
Florida fans hate their coach. They're mad he's still their coach. You have to beat them and Mississippi State. And you're good. You should be able to do that.
Yep.
Except, you know what? Most Ole Miss fans figured it would go wrong somewhere. And then it does. It's not an easy way to live life.
Oh, I actually.
Do you live this life?
No. I always talk myself into my teams being awesome. Like, I've convinced myself the freaking Titans were going to make the playoffs this year. That's how, the blinders that I have
am more
on.
like that than the opposite. My outlook on life is mostly pessimistic. Mm-hmm. But when it does come to the Mets, I tend to think, like, this will be the year. I do get caught up in that a little bit. I'm always trying to believe, and then I'm not always disappointed. I don't think this season was disappointing. Mm-hmm. I had fun this season. But it just the reason Mets fans are always waiting for something to go wrong is because it usually does. And Ole Miss football fans feel very similar to me. My heart breaks for them.
Yeah, I think it's a fine way to live. I mean, and actually, I do kind of live that way. I mean, I always think my teams are going to lose, I guess, now that I'm thinking through it. I think it's okay to live that way. I think it's good for your mentals.
I think it's horrible for your mentals.
Do you?
To always assume things are going to go wrong, it's terrible.
Then you don't set yourself up for disappointment.
Except, you ready for this? I've actually read about this. Uh-huh. I'll be serious for a minute. If you are the type of person who is always thinking like bad stuff's going to happen, do you realize how much energy you're wasting on that? Because the bad stuff almost never happens. Mm. It does sometimes. I mean, I don't want to be silly about it. You know, sometimes you go to the doctor, you're like, oh my God, I think I'm scared I might have cancer. And then you actually do. Like that's a real thing. That does happen.
Yeah.
But most times you don't. Most times when you're concerned about something, it's not real. So to spend every day of your life concerned about all these things when they're usually not real is an incredible waste of energy and not good for you at all. Mm. And I say that as somebody who does it. Like I should be listening to myself and taking my own advice. I can't do it. But I'm smart enough to understand that. That's a real thing. Expecting the worst all the time is a big waste of energy. Because here's the thing: you don't get the worst all the time. Not even a decent percentage of the times you're expecting the worst do you actually get it. Things are not usually as awful as you think they're going to be when you think something's going to be awful. Sometimes it is, but oftentimes it's not. You don't have a good approach to life, Bennett.
I guess not.
And I don't either. But we should work on that together.
No one's ever accused me of having a good approach to life.
That's never been the label they've tried to put on you?
It's not. No, not at all. Not
well,
at all.
Anyway, Ole Miss fans, I feel sick for you, and I hope if there's a way out of this mess that you've created, I hope that you find it. But I will say this. When we finally settle and this is the bracket, now we're going to go do a 12-team playoff, and these teams are in and these teams are out, there will, yes, be teams that will have arguments about we deserve to be in before that team. Mm-hmm. That will build any bracket anywhere. Those arguments will always be there. I will feel sorry for nobody who gets left out. All of you bums, all of you had it right there in front of you. All you had to do was things you should have been able to do. I ain't going to feel bad for Alabama. Alabama, you get left out of this thing. You want to know why it is? Because you scored 3 points at Oklahoma. That's on you. Ole Miss, you get left out of this thing. You want to know why it is? Well, it's a few different things, but most recently it's because you went to Florida and lost. You shouldn't have done that. I feel sorry for them. Every one of these teams that's going to be bitching when the bracket's set, you're going to be able to look in every one of their eyes and say, yeah, but if you'd have just done this thing, you'd be fine. But you didn't do it. It's your own fault. Time to look in the mirror, buddy.
Yeah, it is.
I feel sick for Ole Miss fans, but if I were looking at Ole Miss football, I'd say, it's time to look in the mirror, buddy.
Number 2.
Jake Paul's promotion company.
What's up with him?
He released a statement insisting that the fight against Mike Tyson 2 Fridays ago was not rigged, contrary to internet speculation. Do you believe it was rigged?
No, I don't believe it was rigged in the sense that we're going to do this, we're going to do that, we're going to do this. I don't think it was rigged like that. I think it was understood if Mike Tyson was going to do this fight. I think that there was probably some kind of friendly agreement that he's not going to be knocked out.
I don't know. I've seen the same stuff everybody else sees, but I tell you the most compelling argument to me that it wasn't rigged, and this is an argument that Jake Paul's company makes. That was a sanctioned fight.
Yeah, you can't rig those. You get in big trouble.
It's a federal crime.
Yes, you're right. It's a good point.
You could go to jail and never be sanctioned anywhere again, ever.
Yeah.
That's what, when you say Jake Paul, Mike Tyson was rigged, you were saying
they broke the law,
committed a federal crime. You're saying that's what you're calling them Jonte Porter. Mm-hmm. And you're saying they should, I'm just not comfortable going that far with it. I see everything everybody else sees.
Yeah.
But sometimes in boxing, when you slow things down, because there's one clip everybody keeps going through where it looks like Mike's got a shot, and it looks like he just doesn't take it. And it looks bad.
I've seen it too.
But I've been around that sport enough to know just your mind, your body and your mind are not always in sync. Mm-hmm. And
he's worried about keeping his feet the whole fight, right?
Or you're worried about a counterpunch, or you're just 58 years old and you're tired.
That's
and
right.
You don't. How many boxing matches have you watched where guy goes to the corner, his trainer's in his face, and saying, "You're behind on the cards. Mm-hmm. This is 12th round. You got to knock him out to win the fight. You're behind on the cards. You got to end this, or we're done." The stakes are clear. Go throw, or you lose. Go throw, or you lose. You have to go throw punches, or you lose. And then ding, go that can't throw punches. Mm-hmm. You can't do it. Your mind knows I've got to throw. Your body is done. You can't do it. And I think that is the most obvious explanation for what happened in that fight. I do think Jake Paul probably backed off, but not because it was rigged, but because he knew I just need to carry him to the end as opposed to hurt him. If I hurt him, it's not good for anybody. Mm-hmm. It's not even something I want. I think he did carry him to the end, but he's acknowledged that.
Yeah,
but there's a difference between carrying somebody through a fight and rigging the fight.
That's right. Like when I say that, I think that there was some kind of understanding. I mean, when I say that, I mean like I'm sure when like the calls were made and everything like this, that it was there was probably something said along the lines of, Mike's 58 years old, and there was probably a response that was like, we're going to have a great stand-up fight.
Maybe. I'm not going to sit here and say I know.
I don't know.
I'm just saying if you start having those conversations, everybody who hears them is holding your life in their hands.
You're right.
All it takes is one person saying, no, I was in the room. I heard him discussing it.
Yeah.
It was very clear. We're going to take this thing to the distance. Nobody's knocking anybody out. If you got somebody who's on the record saying that, I heard that conversation, everybody's in jeopardy. Mm-hmm. I just, that's one of those, if somebody started to have that conversation, if you're Jake Paul, you walk out of the room. You say, I'm not being involved in this. I don't know. Like, I'm not going to sit here and say, I know it wasn't rigged, but I think it's more likely that it was a 27-year-old fighting a 58-year-old, and that's what that looks like, and it's probably why we should never do that again.
Number 3.
Kendrick Lamar's latest album, GNX, dropped Friday during the show. It quickly emerged as the number 1 album in the world. The second track off of it, Squabble Up, is already expected to be the number 1 song on Billboard when that updates. I've had people ask me, what do you think? Like, I don't think anybody really cares to hear my opinion about an album. I'm not a music critic, but I enjoyed it. I enjoy all of his albums. He's probably my favorite artist. This is much more listenable. Like, if you're somebody who just entered the Kendrick Lamar conversation because of the beef with Drake and Euphoria and Not Like Us, and that's really your intro to Kendrick Lamar, it almost seems intentional. There's even a part on the album where he says, let's give them what they asked for. It almost feels like I'm giving you what you asked for. Yeah, there's going to be some Drake stuff in here, and there's going to be, but mostly it's just going to be, one of the knocks on him has been he's been making art but not radio hits, art but not club bangers. Well, this has got the radio hits on it. It's got the club bangers on it. It checks all of those boxes. I loved Mr. Morale, the last album, but that's not the easiest thing for just your casual music listener to listen to. Like, you're not just going to put that on in a car of a bunch of people who don't listen to Kendrick Lamar or hip hop and be like, yeah, check this album out. And everybody's going to be like, yeah. They'd be like, what is going on? What are they fighting about? Like, there's a lot going on. I enjoyed it for the art of it, but it's not the easiest thing to listen to if you're not into it for that reason. This album, GNX, very easy to listen to. You could turn this on for anybody in a car, and as long as they didn't mind the language, it's easy to listen to, easy to bop your head to. The first voice you hear on the entire album is not a voice of Kendrick Lamar or Tupac or anybody you might suspect. It's a woman named Dyra Barrera. Do you know this story?
No.
Okay. So the first voice you hear strings, and then it's quite clearly a mariachi singer. And we find out she's a 49-year-old mariachi singer named Dyra Barrera. And so quickly people figure out who this woman is, and they find her story. And here's the story. So Kendrick Lamar knows he's making an album. And there's some thought, by the way, that this ain't even the big project he was working on, that this is just like a little, let me give them what they asked for in advance of the Super Bowl, but I got this other bigger thing coming that'll touch on more of the things I actually want to say. This is just to get you through Christmas, fill up the clubs a little bit. There's some thought, I don't know, but that's it's on the internet if you want to find it. So he's making this album, though, or at least this collection of songs, 12 songs, 44 minutes. And you might remember, because we talked about it, Fernando Valenzuela died. Dodgers legend. Fernando Valenzuela died. And they were honoring, the Dodgers were, Fernando Valenzuela before, I believe, Game 1 of the World Series. And they had a mariachi band there to perform, to honor Fernando, a Mexican legend. And Dyra Barrera, this 49-year-old mariachi singer, was among those there. She was singing. This is an obscure woman. She's just been bouncing around doing things like this her whole life, but has never made any real money, ever real fame, ever nothing. This is just Fernando Valenzuela was her friend. That's among the reasons she was there. Well, guess who else was there? Game 1 of the World Series. Kendrick Lamar. He saw her. He was just there.
Oh, yeah, he's a Dodgers guy.
Yeah, he's a Dodgers fan. He was there. You know, like, it was interesting because you go back to Game 1 of the World Series and it's like, and look at all the stars out. Boom, boom. Nobody even knew Kendrick Lamar was there. He moves like that, apparently. But he was there. And he saw this woman, and within days, they had her in the studio.
That's cool.
And she took this picture with him. As she describes it on Instagram, she goes to sing at Dodger Stadium for her friend Fernando Valenzuela. Obviously, you're at a Dodgers game. You know there's stars there. You don't know who's there. Kendrick Lamar's there. He sees this woman. He says, find this woman. Bring her to the studio. They bring her to the studio like 2 or 3 days later. She's singing Dodger Stadium. A few days later, she's in the studio with Kendrick Lamar. They play her beats, and they say, this is what Kendrick's looking for. This is the sentiment that he wants. You do your thing, but sort of the vibe he wants, the message he's trying to, it's rooted in A, B, and C. So she just starts singing. And this is the way rap albums work. Like, you never really know what is being made or how it's being made. Like, Paul McCartney famously made a track with Kanye West. And he's like, I didn't even know we were making music. I just thought we were talking. And I just was strumming on a guitar, and he's just over there like looking at pictures of his wife and banging on this and doing this and whatever. And we're just there all day. I don't even know what we're doing. And then they deliver the song. And then I hear the song. I don't even know that I'm on it, but I am. But the way he makes music and the way, for Paul McCartney, it was like me and John Lennon would sit in chairs across from each other with guitars and we'd work it out. This concept is so different. So this woman, she's like, I just went in there and sang some of the things that I sang, and I don't know if what they're doing with it. I'm a mariachi singer, not a rapper. I don't even know what I'm doing. But then they took it and they dispersed. She's on 3 of the biggest tracks. Like, she's going to win Grammys and stuff.
That's awesome.
He just made this woman's life. And I'll let the music critics figure out exactly why this was important to Kendrick to do. But if you are making a West Coast album, an LA album, to sort of celebrate LA, which is what the Pop Out concert was, which is on some level what Not Like Us is. I mean, at its core, it's just taking aim at Drake, but there's more to it than that. If you're going to make that album, well, guess what LA is? It's not just the hip hop culture. LA is like 48 to 50% Hispanic Latino. So if you're going to make a real LA album, how do you make it without having a Mexican singer on it? And he has shown appreciation for Latino people and their importance to LA before. You, again, don't want to get too deep, but obviously the Mexican border, immigration has been a big topic of conversation. Perhaps this is a sentiment connected to that. I don't know, but it's just a neat little story. He just happened to be going to watch a baseball game, saw this woman, and he has changed her life. That's a real money tree. Congratulations to her. The album's streaming wherever your albums stream.
Number 4.
Saw this story this morning. Sad stuff. Liam Payne, remember him? We talked about him.
Yep.
Was in One Direction with Harry Styles. He died in Argentina earlier this year after falling from a balcony. If you remember, it was originally ruled a suicide, and we talked about it.
And there's drugs in his system.
Yeah, there's drugs, and like his girlfriend had just left him. His ex-girlfriend had just publicly accused him of being kind of a weirdo. His record label was dropping him. There was a lot of stuff going on in his life, and authorities very quickly ruled it a suicide. And I guess that was just that, right? But there's been an ongoing investigation, and now it's starting to look like it wasn't a suicide at all. The latest reporting, and TMZ's got all the surveillance footage in it, 911 calls and everything. So he was clearly drugged out of his mind, all right? Nobody's disputing that. He was under the influence of a lot of stuff and acting erratic, and I think...
I got you.
We've probably all been around somebody who just, all right, it's gone too far. He was that guy, acting erratic in the hotel lobby. They eventually literally carry him to his hotel room. Not because he was unconscious, but because they were like forcibly taking him there.
Mm-hmm.
And there is now evidence, transcripts, the whole deal. that says they were telling him, if you come back in this lobby, like it's not going to be good, like you've got to go to your room. They're just trying to get him to sleep it off. Well, he ain't in the mood to sleep it off. He's like, we probably all been around that. You see somebody that's like, yo, man, you just need to get in this bed. Close your eyes and tomorrow will be better. And they'd rather put their fist to a wall, right? Well, he's that guy at this point, tearing up everything. Well, they put him in this room, and he allegedly told them, I'm not staying in this room. They're like, you come back in this lobby. And he said, I'll go off the balcony. Somebody at the hotel calls 911 and says, hey, listen, we got him. We got him back in his hotel room, but he's out of his mind, and he's got a balcony, and, like, we're scared. And within 2 minutes of that call, he's already dead. They no longer think he was trying to commit suicide. They think he was trying to climb out of the balcony, down to the second floor balcony, and then jump down to the floor, and he fell because he was out of his mind. Because you might fall anyway, but like when you're out of your mind, you're definitely going to. I think he was just trying to get out of the room to go get into whatever he was trying to get into and fell and died. It's just a drug accident more than a suicide. It's what it appears, at least. Which, does that make it better or worse for you? If you're his kids and you grow up someday, does that make it better?
No, I think it's just as bad. I mean, I don't.
At least you don't have to carry around with you. My dad took his own life and chose to do that and could have been with me, but he chose that. I imagine that's something people wrestle with. Whereas this would be like, it's not a great story, but it'd be like, my dad didn't want to take his life. My dad was going through a tough thing and got uneven and out of his mind. He fell off of a balcony.
Yeah.
That hotel is going to get sued like crazy.
I know, dude. Yeah.
Because have you seen the balcony, by the way?
I have.
You could very easily just fall over that.
Yeah.
It's the type of balcony that if me and my family were there, I would tell my kids, you can't go out on that balcony.
Right.
Right? Like, you can't go out there. It's too low and whatever. So now, grown man, drugs, alcohol, I'm going to try to climb off this balcony. You know how that one's going.
Yep.
Anyway, sad stuff. I don't even know why I put that in here. Let's talk about something
Thanks
better.
a lot.
Yeah. All right.
Number 5.
Bennett, you sent this to me.
Oh, yeah.
It's now looking like in 2024, that's this year, all 10 of the top 10 highest grossing movies this year are going to be sequels.
You going to try to name them?
I don't want to. But
I don't think you got
the Beetlejuice sequel.
It's on there. Yep.
Gladiator 2.
Hang on, let me cross these out.
Okay, Gladiator 2.
Okay, it is not as of right now.
Well, it's going to be.
Yeah, it probably will be.
It's going to be, Bennett.
Yes. Got a long way to go. You got a long way to go.
Yeah, but I don't even know what movies came out this year. I don't know anything about movies.
So I'll give you the top 10 from bottom to top. It was Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes, Bad Boys Ride or Die, Venom, The Last Dance, Beetlejuice. You got that one. Kung Fu Panda 4, Godzilla.
I know the animated film, the one I liked so much.
Yep.
What is it?
You want me to give it to you?
Well, I went and saw it. I loved it. What was it?
Inside Out 2.
I love that.
Yeah,
I know that one.
Number 2 on the list.
It should be.
Yeah, Godzilla times Kong, Dune Part 2, Despicable Me 4, Inside Out 2, and Deadpool and Wolverine.
So what number 1? Now, I think I've heard people talk about this before. You tell me. You tell me if I'm right or wrong. What I've heard people say, I think, is that the reason everything now is either tied to intellectual property or a sequel. Like, you can't just make a movie about a new character. You got to make a movie about Barbie. And it's because production companies, unless they know, and I mean know, not think, but know there is an audience for this that's already established.
Yep.
We just give them this, they'll take it because they took it last time. They're hesitant to make these films. Yeah. So you want to make sequels of successful films. You don't want to make a new film and hope that it's successful. Let's make another film about something we already know is successful. That's what we're doing, isn't it?
So Bob Iger, the CEO of Disney, said, he literally said that. I mean, he goes, when he was asked about this, he said, I just think right now, given...
Listen to me acting like I figured some shit out.
No, you're right, though. No,
they're actually saying it. But I'm sitting here like being all smart, and then you're like, yeah, well, they explained that.
No, but it's crazy to hear someone say out loud that's like, a guy that's kind of over ahead of us. Like you said, I think just right now, given the competition and overall movie marketplace, there's a lot of value in the sequels, obviously, because they're known and it takes less in terms of marketing. So he's saying the quiet part out loud. Like, it saves, you don't have to spend this huge marketing budget when people are already going to be excited to see your movie no matter what, because they have a connection to that franchise or the previous movie.
It really does look like the way to make movies now is to find something that's big.
Yeah.
Like, think about it.
You know, it's why honestly, Wicked is tied to. I guess it's in a sense. It's based on a Broadway show, and it's going to be the biggest movie. But it's still something people know because of something like whether
of course, you all know
the
Wicked.
Broadway show, whether
Wicked's
it's
been
Wizard
every
of
time.
Oz,
Everybody knows it. But like, think of it, Barbie, Legos. It's stuff like that. Like, what are these things?
Yeah.
Like you'd be more likely to get a movie about Frosted Flakes because Frosted Flakes is established than you are some new movie about some new thing that you've never seen anything about.
Right. I hate it.
Bennett hates it.
I hate it, but listen, I'm a sucker for nostalgia too. Like, I go and see I'm excited to see Gladiator 2 this week. Like, I'm excited to see Wicked. I want to see Moana 2. Like, I like all this stuff. I liked Deadpool and Wolverine, which was the biggest sequel this year. But I do hate that, like, just original ideas are just getting thrown out the window. Like, that's just not the direction these movie studios are going to go right now because they want a big box office. The theaters have finally recovered from COVID. Like, people are back at the movies again. And I just think that this is kind of the way it's going to be right now.
Bennett, you don't sound optimistic that we're going to get back to making the Goodwill Huntings of the world.
I'm not super optimistic right now. No, you're going to get sequels and you're going to like it.
Bennett says you're going to have to like it.
Yeah.
Gladiator 2 is in theaters now. We'll be back in a second.
Yellow laces, really bright yellow primary color. You got black on the trim and on the edges.
I gotta get 'em.
And you got some red there as well. Look at that right there, Mike. Look at that right there.
Man, look at that G. Look at that G, boy. That G is moving strong right there, too, man.
Get all of your HBCU sports and culture news by tuning in to HBCU Huddle with CJ Hurt and Mike Wallace. New episodes drop every Thursday on grindcitymedia.com, YouTube, and Spotify.
I can't tell you how many people texted me and thought it was the funniest thing ever that you were sitting on the front row in your jersey.
Yo, no.
You were wearing a Tony Allen jersey on the front row. They're like, yo, tell him to check in.
That joke was smeedy. I told Tia, I saw Tia, I said,
Yo,
man,
I
you
did
should
have a hoodie on, though. I mean, a sweater.
I told Tia, you should have sized up on that joint, man.
Yo, shout out to Robin Hood, man.
The Chris Vernon Show, live on weekdays at noon on YouTube at Grind City Media and the official Grind City Media app.
Anticipate each challenge. Make a quick response. Capitalize on every opportunity. And win. Greatness won't wait. It's true in basketball. It's true in banking. Grizzlies checking from Pinnacle. Play hard. Bank easy. Open a Grizzlies checking account with at least $100 and a recurring direct deposit by August 31st. And you could receive a $200 direct deposit bonus into your account. Details at grizzliesbanking.com. Member FDIC.
Southland Casino Hotel is helping you navigate to Santa. Win your share of up to $340,000 in free play or a 2024 Lincoln Navigator. Here Comes Santa kicks off November 24th. Get one free entry and earn additional entries for weekly Saturday drawings. Don't forget the grand finale drawing on Saturday, December 21st to win up to $5,000 in free play or a 2024 Lincoln Navigator. Win big during Here Comes Santa, only at Southland Casino Hotel.
Must be 21 plus. Play responsibly. For help quoting, call 800-522-4700. Grizzlies fans know it's the team that gives you the edge. Big River Steel does too. And much like the Grizzlies have recruited legendary talent, we want you to be part of our team. Are you ready to be part of something legendary? Then visit www.bigriversteel.com. That's www.bigriversteel.com.
We didn't talk about owling, and you're telling me you didn't know owling?
What the hell is an owling?
Owling is worse than Tebowing.
What is an
How
owling?
far can Kyra zoom out on this camera?
She can zoom all the way out.
Can
Are
she
you gonna
zoom
hit us
out?
with- What are you doing?
I'm owling.
Okay. Wait, why were we doing this? What is that?
Tune in to the Jessica Benson Show with CJ Hurt live every weekday at 8 a.m. on YouTube at Grind City Media and the official Grind City Media app.
Sonic Radio. Welcome back to Sonic RNDIO. That spells radio with me, the CIO. This just in, the new Sonic $1.99 menu lets you build a crave-worthy meal for just $1.99 an item, whether that's a creamy shake, crispy tots, or a quarter-pound double cheeseburger. This just out. Ostriches. They're mean, not very cute, and in my opinion, way too big for a bird. Don't miss the Sonic Fun 99 menu. 5 items, always $1.99. Live free, eat Sonic.
Tax not included. See menu for details.
Let's face it, there's a lot of trash talk in basketball. But the great teams let their performance do the talking. Like Ford F-150 with Pro Power on board. A class-exclusive industry-first feature that turns your truck into a mobile generator and leaves the competition speechless. Ford F-150, official truck of the Grizzlies. Greatness starts here at your Mid-South Ford dealer. Class is full-size pickups under 8,500 pounds, GVWR.
The top 5 worst teams in the NFL. I think the Panthers are the worst team in the NFL.
I got the Saints number 1. Ha ha ha! Let's put the Aints up there. They're terrible.
I'll take the Titans as my worst team in the NFL. If they played Will Levis, they're for sure the worst team. Maybe in NFL history. Might be worse than the 0-16 Lions if they play Will Levis.
The Odds Couple, live at 2 p.m. on YouTube at Grind City Media and the official Grind City Media app.
Goldberg announces he's going to have a retirement match in 2025, and he said this on College Game Day.
We know you're trying to ride the coattails because the 2025 is supposed to be the year of John Cena. Goldberg, I have a message for you, my guy. We don't care about your retirement match. Your retirement match was 3 years ago. Go somewhere, go away.
Tune in to Grind City Wrestling weekly on the Grind City Media app and on the Grind City Media YouTube channel.
The AP poll has updated. University of Memphis Tigers, Penny Hardaway's program, got 6 points in this week's AP poll after last week getting 8 points in the AP poll.
Okay. That's kind of weird.
So you get 8. You go to San Francisco, get a win to remain undefeated, improve to 4-0, and you lose. You lose points?
What's going on there?
Disrespectful.
What's going on there? It does feel disrespectful.
I mean,
I hope Coach says that to the team before the game today.
I mean, it could also, just be a byproduct of, some other teams got some, like Pitt got a nice win and then played Wisconsin close in the title game of the Greenbrier tip-off, so they maybe took a vote away from you. So there might be a rational explanation for it, but I'd rather focus on what we can focus on, and that is it's disrespectful.
Yeah, I mean, best I can tell, these other teams are playing like East Mississippi Community College every night. Like
every single night?
Yeah. Why do we lose points?
Why do we lose points?
I don't like it.
Disrespectful, but here's the good news. About 2 hours away from getting your respect back if you want it.
I believe it's 9:30 a.m. there when they tip off. I think that's right. Yeah.
And I saw some Memphis fans like wondering, like, playing that early, is it a concern? You ready for this? As someone who has been at the Maui Invitational, do you mean tell you what time they woke up today? 4:15.
Right, your body clock, yeah.
You just wake up.
Mm-hmm.
I went to Maui. I guess it was November 2018. Loved the trip. I don't know that I'll ever go back, but it was beautiful. And just a great experience. I was there the year Zion and R.J. Barrett were on Duke.
Gotcha.
And they lost to Brandon Clark.
And Gonzaga.
And Rui Hachimura and Gonzaga in the championship game. So I get there and I crash out, right? Because it takes forever to get there. But I get there and I crash out pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
And then I wake up and it's like, bro, I am wide awake. And it is 4 o'clock in the morning. I am wide awake. And I was like, I'll just go back to sleep. Can't go back to sleep. Because it's like 9 o'clock in the morning Memphis time or what. I don't remember the exact conversion, but it's something like that. My body is used to being awake at this time, so I'm awake. And so I was like, okay, cool. Let's just take advantage of this then. I'm in Hawaii.
Mm-hmm.
I'll get up and go for a nice walk on the beach. Sunrise, I'll have the whole beach to myself. So early in the morning. As soon as the sun starts to come up, I'm going to go outside. Just going to take a nice walk for as long as I can walk and just sort of appreciate this. So I took a shower, and I got my stuff on, and I went outside. everybody's awake because everybody's traveling from the continental United States and everybody's body clocks. So, yes, in Maui time, they are playing very early today, but they've been awake for a long time. How about this? Yesterday was the press conferences. Matt Norlander, my colleague, CBS Sports, he's there. So keep an eye on him. He might be writing a Memphis column later today if they pull off the upset. But you know what time the press conferences start? Like, Penny Hardaway and Tom Izzo and Hubert Davis are holding press conferences. You know what time that was yesterday? 7:30 a.m. local time.
How about that?
Because everybody's awake anyway. If you're not doing something at 7:30 a.m., you're just standing around.
Right.
Because everybody's been awake since 4 o'clock in the morning. So you get a chance to get your respect back. A couple of hours away, Memphis-UCONN, ESPN2. I mentioned earlier, I'll be quick on this and then we'll get another break, get out of here, that, like, you want to go 3-0. Of course you do, right? Memphis coming out of here 7-0, like they might be ranked number 1 in the country on Monday if you can dream that big. You go win the Maui Invitation. Like, let's just have fun for a second. Memphis is 3 wins away from being ranked number 1 in the country next week.
I ain't going that far. But it'd be 3 good wins.
You would own wins over UConn. Let's just say Michigan State.
Yeah.
And let's just say Auburn. You would in the
that's as good of a resume as there is in the country.
Poll,
You're right.
In the AP poll, you would beat the teams ranked 2nd and 4th and still be undefeated. You would have a case to be number 1.
That'd be insane.
You'd have a case to be number 1 next Monday. All right?
You could maybe get away with losing an AAC game at that point.
Oh, don't get crazy. Don't get crazy. But here's the thing. 1 and 2, I mentioned earlier, like 1 and 2 is not a disaster. And it's not. I know you don't. Let's go 3-0 and be ranked number 1 in the country. But 1 and 2 is not a disaster. You need to keep that in mind because it's the most likely outcome. The way the bracket sets up, you're 8.5, 9.5 point favor underdog today against UConn. You're supposed to lose this game. So you lose that, you're 0-1. You go to this side of the bracket. Colorado, Michigan State plays after you. Michigan State should win that game. Colorado then should come back to the losers bracket with you. So tomorrow, Memphis should be playing. If Memphis loses to UConn, Memphis should be playing Colorado tomorrow. Memphis will be favored over Colorado. So you should win that game, right? And when you win that game, you'd be playing a game 1 loser, game 2 winner from the other side of the bracket. So let's just say for the sake of this conversation, Auburn beats Iowa State. Iowa State goes to the losers bracket. Iowa State then plays Dayton, beats Dayton. Now you're playing Iowa State on Wednesday. Well, they're top 5 in the country. They're going to be favored over you. You're supposed to lose that game. So the most obvious way these 3 days unfold for Memphis is a loss to UConn, a win over Colorado, and then a loss to Iowa State or Auburn on Wednesday. And you'd come out of here 1 and 2, but the 2 losses under that set of circumstances would both be the top 5 teams. So 1 and 2 is not a disaster. But let's go 3-0.
Let's do it.
Let's go 3-0 and be ranked number 1. Wouldn't it be fun to be ranked number 1 in the country next week?
Be amazing.
Ja Morant would be back, fingers crossed, and the Tigers could be ranked number 1 in the country a week from today.
Let's go.
I say do it. We'll be back with GP's Carryout.
We didn't talk about owling, and you're telling me you didn't know owling?
What the hell is an owling?
Owling is worse than Tebowing.
What is an
How
owling?
far can Kyra zoom out on this camera?
She can zoom all the way out.
Can she
gonna
zoom
hit us
out?
What are you doing?
I'm owling.
Okay. Wait, why were we doing this? What is that?
Tune in to the Jessica Benson Show with CJ Hurt live every weekday at 8 a.m. on YouTube at Grind City Media and the official Grind City Media app.
Now every time you go to Miami, you can go see, like, that's a statue of me there.
No, I don't look nothing like that thing, man. Look, I'm sorry.
I would have been offended.
Look at that. That is UTA.
Oh my God.
That is Cody.
Oh, look. Hey, y'all got to get that screenshot, man. Put that on the...
The Chris Vernon Show, live on weekdays at noon on YouTube at Grind City Media and the official Grind City Media app.
Who will lead the Grizz in steals this season?
I'm going to go with Pippen for steals this season.
So I'm going to go with Jaren.
I'm going to go, as long as he's in the rotation, I'm going to go Jaylen Wells for total steals, and I'll have Marcus Smart in my back pocket for steals per game.
Hey, Grizzlies fans, be sure to tune in to Grizz, where the panel and I break down all things Grizzlies and take a look at the rest of the NBA as well. The show is live every Wednesday, 2 p.m. on YouTube at Grind City Media and the official Grind City Media app.
Yellow laces, really bright yellow primary color. You got black on the trim and on the edges, and you got some red there as well. Look at that right there, Mike. Look at that right there.
Man, look at that G. Look at that G, boy. That G is moving strong right there, too, man.
Get all of your HBCU sports and culture news by tuning in to HBCU Huddle with CJ Hurt and Mike Wallace. New episodes drop every Thursday on grindcitymedia.com, YouTube, and Spotify.
Sonic Radio. Welcome back to Sonic RNDIO. That spells radio with me, the CIO. This just in, the new Sonic $1.99 menu lets you build a crave-worthy meal for just $1.99 an item, whether that's a creamy shake, crispy tots, or a quarter-pound double cheeseburger. This just out. Ostriches. They're mean, not very cute, and in my opinion, way too big for a bird. Don't miss the Sonic Fun 99 menu. 5 items, always $1.99. Live free, eat Sonic.
Tax not included. See menu for details.
Grizzlies fans, dunks, dimes, and no-looks are great on TV, but nothing compares to catching them IRL. And that starts with buying tickets at Ticketmaster, the official ticket marketplace of the Memphis Grizzlies and the NBA. Ticketmaster gets you to the game so you can catch every highlight in person. From seeing your favorite Grizzly stars up close to hearing the squeak of the sneakers on the hardwood. Put that jersey collection to use and get tickets at Ticketmaster. There's no better brag than saying you saw it live. See you courtside, Memphis.
It's the top 5 worst teams in the NFL. I think the Panthers are the worst team in the NFL.
I got the Saints number 1. Let's put the Aints up there. They're terrible.
I'll take the Titans as my worst team in the NFL. If they played Will Levis, they're for sure the worst team. Maybe in NFL history. Might be worse than the 0-16 Lions if they play Will Levis.
The Odds Couple, live at 2 p.m. on YouTube at Grind City Media and the official Grind City Media app.
There's no substitute for experience, the knowledge gained from having been there before, and the passion to share what you know to make everyone around you better. It's true in basketball. It's true in banking. Grizzlies checking from Pinnacle. Play hard. Bank easy. Open a Grizzlies checking account with at least $100 and a recurring direct deposit by August 31st, and you could receive a $200 direct deposit bonus into your account. Details at grizzliesbanking.com. Member FDIC.
Let's face it, there's a lot of trash talk in basketball, but the great teams let their performance do the talking. Like Ford F-150 with Pro Power on board, a class-exclusive industry-first feature that turns your truck into a mobile generator and leaves the competition speechless. Ford F-150, official truck of the Grizzlies. Greatness starts here at your Mid-South Ford dealer. Class is full-size pickups under 8,500 pounds, GVWR.
Grizzlies fans know it's the team that gives you the edge. Big River Steel does too. And much like the Grizzlies have recruited legendary talent, we want you to be part of our team. Are you ready to be part of something legendary? Then visit www.bigriversteel.com. That's www.bigriversteel.com.
Welcome back, Gary Parrish Show, presented by Ortho South. Let's wrap this up with GP's Carryout.
It's time for GP's Carryout. One final segment filled with stuff to take with you. It's not everything you need to know, but it's most of it. What did we learn today?
Whole bunch of stuff, but I think what I'm proud of stuff is we talked, Bennett, about Wally Pipp.
Oh, yeah. Thanks for that.
Yeah, no.
Appreciate that little lesson there.
You didn't need to go through any more days of your life not knowing about Wally Pipp.
Yep.
The conversation was about Jaylen Wells and whether he's Wally Pipping somebody right now, whether it's G.G. Jackson, Vince Williams, or Marcus Smart. The rookie out of Washington State is performing well. He started 12 games. Will probably start again tonight. Ja Morant might be in uniform as well.
Oh, let's go. Let's go. That questionable tag hit me. I mean, it just... I was going to say like a ton of bricks, but it hit me in the feels is what it did.
It's nice to see.
It was really good to see.
It was a nice thing to see.
Yeah.
Tickets available tonight, Ticketmaster.com.
What's today's biggest game?
Let's go Memphis-UCONN out in Maui.
Okay.
Tigers are listed as 8.5-point underdogs. The total's 148.5. How you going to act, Bennett? Do you believe in your alma mater or not?
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Believe it.
Why not?
It's more fun to believe, isn't it?
I want to have fun.
Bennett wants to have fun, so he's taking Memphis plus the 8.5.
What are we watching on TV?
We get Raw tonight. Did you see who the 5th member of the OTC bloodline is?
It's CM Punk.
CM Punk. The wise man called him in.
How about that?
Well, how about that?
There were some people doing some investigative work on Paul Heyman and his outfit the other night, and they suggested that he was wearing the same little lapel, I guess, that Solo wears.
Oh, no.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, no.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, no. Stay tuned. Raw is on USA tonight at 7 o'clock.
What's the best thing we've read?
Updated the top 25 at 1, CBSSports.com. I wrote about the SEC, where there's 10 teams now in the top 25 and 1. 10 in the top 25 and 1. No other league has more than 6. SEC, it just means more. You can read it at CBSSports.com.
What's on tap for tomorrow?
Well, tomorrow's Tuesday. We'll look back at Grizzlies Portland, look back at Memphis-UCONN. Get ready for day 2 in Maui, whatever it looks like. Should be a fun show. Looking forward to it already. Enjoy the rest of your day. I'll enjoy mine. We'll meet back here tomorrow at 10. Till then, be careful, be kind, be good. Rep your hood.